Good morning,
Toronto.
gentlemen.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hey,
I
good
was
to
just
see
I
you
just worked
guys.
in I just worked in Toronto for like 6 months.
Yeah, you
Excuse
did.
me, and you didn't give me a call? And did you spend time with
I would
Michael's
have.
family? Like, what's
I
going
would
on
have.
here?
Go to Brampton.
I did. I mean, I asked
Yeah.
him for Rex, and he was like, I actually don't know. I haven't spent much time in Toronto. Like, aren't you from here?
Toronto's got really good food.
Oh my God, the food was
Oh,
amazing.
Good Ethiopian.
hello. Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, we have the multicultural, amazing restaurants here, but
Get
we can
everything.
talk about that forever. First of all, yeah, I mean, calling this movie Sacramento. Now that I think about it, when Michael C came on board, why didn't you just call it Toronto and do a road trip here?
Grand.
I'll give you something true and funny is that at one point, a different iteration of this movie, we were shooting we were making it in Georgia.
Right.
Because we had different financing and they wanted us to shoot for the tax breaks in Georgia, which I was ultimately okay with, like whatever gets the movie made.
Mhm.
But at that point, I was like, why not just call the movie,
Yeah.
Savannah
Why
or
pretend
like
that?
Athens? Why are we faking it?
Yeah, fake
Yeah.
Sacramento.
Ultimately, I'm very glad how that it was truthful to the script and that we shot
Yeah.
exclusively in California.
Where it
So
was set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. No, it was beautiful to watch. Even just going on the road trip with you guys was fun. And so Michael, hey, let's start because this took a long time to get off the ground. So
Yeah.
what I was wondering from when you started, to think about this script and how it all evolved, and then to what it became, there had to have been so many changes because the two of you have changed so much since that time.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
a lot of changes.
Yeah, it really did because this script we Chris Smith and I started writing it 10 years ago or so when we're both actors, so we would kind of revisit it every once in a while. Like when I say it took 10 years to get made, I probably there's Chris Smith and I are also big procrastinators, so there's probably about like a month of actual work that took place within those 10 years. But yeah, many dozens of drafts of this script that evolved and changed and we really kind of carved it out from this like big chunk of marble that we started with, which was literally just an idea of going on a road trip to Sacramento, which was
Yeah.
born out of like a joke between us. So it really fine-tuned itself and evolved and took shape. I would say even until like a month or so before we started shooting, we finally like did a revision that was the version that we finally saw. But there were a couple of loose ends that we didn't tie up for a long time.
Yeah. And then Michael, so you come on board and you play this guy, Glenn, and I'm not going to lie, boy, he gave me a lot of anxiety watching. You were great as this guy. How did you find your way in to relate to him? Other than the becoming a dad part, because we know this happened to you in real life, but what he's going through kind of mentally, that's a lot.
Well, I mean, for me, it's not too far from, like things that I've struggled with in my life that you just can like take to the, nth degree.
Right.
Just his need to have some control over things and over his life and over his space and over his world. It just taken to a totally unhealthy level. But I mean, I could just magnify those. I mean, I have, during COVID, maybe everybody felt this a little where you're like, you become so myopic about your home.
Yes.
And especially if you live with a partner, you have like the dumbest arguments over like the way the pantry is organized. And now we have ants because, there's crumbs on the floor and like just, so, I mean, that's already a toxic level of control and just OCD or whatever it is. So it wasn't too hard to relate. And then also, the fatherhood just ratchets that up a million times. Because you have the most important thing, people say it's like your heart is outside of your body suddenly. The thing that you worry about the most and that means the most to you, you just always want to make sure they're safe and do the best you can. So you could just go crazy with that.
Yeah, 100%. Michael A., I mean, nothing bonds people more than a road trip. So once you guys got in that car together, I mean, did it just amplify your friendship or were there lots of little fights or like, tell me a little bit about that.
For Mike and I?
Yeah.
Truth is, we it's not too dissimilar from our actual relationship. I mean, we are kind of playing the extreme versions of these characters, but
Sure.
that we were driving around, you know, the east side of LA listening to music, and
It
that's
was
kind of
great.
what we do
Yeah.
anyway, like, and watch movies and like go out to lunch and hang out. So this wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
it was really nice. Like the very first day of shooting, it was were all of our driving shots all over Los Angeles. So the first day, we're like 10 hours of us hanging out in the car.
And not even with microphones, I think.
No.
Because it was just footage.
It was-
So me and Mike were just like catching up,
Yeah.
driving around.
Yeah, no, we hadn't seen
It was
each other
great.
in like, you know, in like over a year. So we were just like, you know, shooting the shit, hanging out.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, what could be better than that? And
Yeah.
I have to say, I think the two of you have missed your calling. I think you really should have been pro wrestlers. So, Mike C, tell me a little bit about getting in the ring together. It
Oh,
was,
it was so much fun.
so much fun to watch.
It was so much fun. Like when we first got there, you know, because it's in the script that I have to slide, what do you call it? Like a belly slide
Yeah.
into the ring. And I was like, you know, and the guy, like whoever owned the place or was someone or a stunt guy, someone was there and showed me how to do it. And I was like, I really don't know if I can do that. And after doing it like 5 times, I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, you were really
And then let me
good.
get a really good one now.
Yeah.
See how far I can get. That was so satisfying.
It was that sequence was exhausting also. And I will say we did have a stunt
fun.
coordinator to help us out, but we basically did that all of ourselves. Like it was very important
Yeah.
to, I feel, that it had a sense of, you know, like playfulness and not choreographed, but like
Yes.
just these guys, what they used to do when they were 12 years old in their, you know, parents' basements.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to watch it. You know, one thing about this, Michael, I mean, after this whole experience, you're like, obviously you married Maya, you had this, you have 2 kids now, and then Michael C, you have kids, and so Michael C, first, how is, you know, even looking back and watching this movie again, how does it make you think about fatherhood and maybe, you know, and how it's changed you as an actor, as a comedian, as everything?
It does change everything. I mean, it changes all of your priorities and the way that you make decisions about, you know, I mean, in our profession, you know, we always have to go somewhere for a few months and, you know, post up and make a new home for, you know, it's very transient kind of strange life. And that obviously, you know, really changes when you're carting your kids around and you have to bring everything that kids need and
Yep.
travel with like 4 suitcases. And your partner is at home while you're working with, you know, juggling these 2 kids, and everything changes. But it's, I don't know. I mean, this movie is such a little like nostalgic postcard for us because it's amazing, like how our lives evolved over the course of getting it made. I mean, I came onto it sort of 5 years ago or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And were you were already with Maya, or were you?
No.
You hadn't even gotten
No.
together with Maya.
No, we hadn't even met.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, like when I first came onto the project, there was no Maya, there was no child. Maya and Mike had no kids, and then by the time we're making the movie, they have this little family. So it's a crazy little like ecosystem that happened around the project.
It really did, and it was like, you know, Maya and I met for the movie, but she had already said yes. So the meeting was sort of like an afterthought, like, oh, we'll eventually make this movie together. We should eventually meet each other. Obviously that went very well. And then like the movie didn't get made for 3 or 4 years. And then by the time it happened, so he's right. And that is sort of how the story evolved is, you know, as we grew up, and we also had to push the movie a couple of times because we were, you know, Mike had just had a kid, and, you know, our lives took over, I don't think if we set out to write a movie about fatherhood or becoming a parent after having a kid, it would have been a different movie in a way where, like, I don't think we could have hit it on the nose enough, because something about writing this fictionally, like just the way it happened, it felt like it was like art imitating life or life imitating art. It was like very prescient, but by the time we made it, it was so exactly cathartically what we needed.
Yeah. Well, not that I don't love the two of you in front of the camera, but Michael, I think you have a huge future directing. Continue on with that as well. And Michael C, we're ever going to see you behind the camera? Have you thought about it now?
I'm trying. Yeah. Trying. Do you have any like cash?
I can pitch you some ideas.
Okay.
When you come back here with the fam, call me and I'll pitch you guys some ideas. I'm happy to do that.
Okay,
for free.
okay.
Even for free. Okay. There you go.
Thank you. That's very generous. Thank you,
guys. Thank you. This movie is truly wonderful. I adored it, and
thank you.
Brandon. Thanks for your time. Take
Nice
care.
talking
Yeah,
to you. Thanks so
thanks,
much.
Bonnie.
You guys, take
care.
care.